Welcome to Season 2 of Frontline Fridays, brought to you by Ubik. I'm your host, Thurston, and this season, we're diving into what it really takes to lead on the front lines of retail and hospitality. Together, we'll explore the biggest shifts in frontline work and how smart leaders are navigating them to drive results where it matters most. Each episode, you'll hear from top executives, industry experts, and powerhouse operators who share practical tactics you can put to work immediately. Today's conversation is all about the principles that separate leaders people follow from the ones people simply report to. My guest is Corinne Suarez, Vice President of Stores at Marine Layer, where she leads store strategy, customer experience, and retail infrastructure for the brand's growing network. Corinne brings more than 25 years of leadership experience in multi-brand retail, including senior roles at Old Navy, American Eagle, Aerie, and Gap. She's led store teams at scale and has a reputation for developing leaders who deliver results without sacrificing their humanity. We'll explore how those values show up in real moments of trust, scale, and change. Today's episode may challenge you to think differently about how you define leadership success. So let's get into it. Corinne, welcome to Frontline Fridays. I am so happy to have you here.
Me too. So happy to be here.
So happy. So I love to start the show with how I know the guest. And the interesting part about the two of us is that I feel like we've been circling each other for like 30 years.
Oh, I know.
And we've never worked together. We've never been on the same team. We've worked for the same companies or very early on at Gap. You were always someone I knew of and knew incredible things about, had heard incredible things about, and I've watched your career. And yet you and I have never officially crossed paths. So I feel like this conversation is long overdue.
Yes. And I think we need to hang out.
No question about that.
Yeah.
I wanted to start just more about you. When did you fall in love with this business? You've been leading field teams your entire career.
Yeah.
I know you're a franchise owner and others, and we'll get into that. But how and when did you fall in love with this business?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you asked that. I was in the restaurant business, and I got recruited, and this is like, the late 90s, right? And I got recruited, and somebody was like, "Hey, we're building this brand. It's called Old Navy, and it's just getting off the ground. It's like booming, and we think you'd be amazing." And at that point, I was like, I definitely love fashion and loved apparel, all that good stuff. And Old Navy wasn't really it for me. I mean, back then it was like a really different model than it is today. But I really got interested in the brand, and that's when I was introduced to Gap. And so started with Gap. Fun fact, I was the first hire to come from a different industry. I started in King of Prussia, and I actually ran multi-unit. So before it was like, I guess, a thing. Yeah. So I ran adult Gap, baby Gap, and Gap Kids when they were all separate boxes.
Because I didn't start doing that. I think it was like 2006 or something. So you were a pioneer, of leading the way that could actually be done. We know now that
integration back then.
Integration.
So I was the test, I think, for that, and it was a model that worked apparently. So
here we are, 2025, and it's fun again. 2026. And it's still fun.
It evolves.
And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it has peaks and valleys, right? But it's just, there's nothing like, I think, retail.
And what do you tell people about your career? It's a question I ask of like, what are you most proud of?
I think the people and the legacy of talent that has fostered under my development, I think that would be the thing I'm most proud of. Like, I've got friends that are SVPs for organizations and CMOs and like really cool positions that have worked with me, and I would say under my tutelage or mentorship. And I think that's the most exciting thing, to see people, foster their own careers, because, I know there's a lot of people that think, oh, retail isn't a career. It is a career, and you can live in so many cool places and do so many neat things. So I think it definitely goes back to,
and potentially influencing their commitment to this industry.
Oh, 100%.
They see you, and then they see the success, and they see your pride in your work, and they're like, I want to be Corinne. I want to build my career to have this. And no doubt there's a legacy of people that have done that.
For sure. I mean, I remember
Yeah,
even when you and I met each other, I believe you were in the visual capacity.
I was. Yep.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, that like to me, I didn't even know, honestly, because I was so new to retail that that was even a thing. And I was like, to watch you do what you did was so incredible to me and like creative, but yet it applied to the business. It was super aspirational. You never
Oh,
know when you're
thank
going to
you.
touch somebody, right?
You never know,
Yeah.
and today Marine Layer also like really interesting business model, D2C that has built this incredible business and this following and this culture. And I heard one of the founders of Marine Layer speak at a conference recently, and it just inspired me even more about like how this business continues to evolve and grow and think differently, and there's always room for more. So
A hundred,
you're
a
back
hundred.
at it again all those years later.
I
You're
know.
still in it, like recreating it and creating magic.
Yeah, it's really neat. Like I never, given my history and background, right, and the businesses I've run and worked for and all that, I never thought I'd be with a brand this small. And I will tell you, it's just as exciting as a big brand. You know, you get to, I told my boss the other day, I'm like, I think I'm closest to the pin on so many big initiatives. It feels really good. Where I think at a big brand, like you're pretty far away from it sometimes. And
Yeah.
it's super exciting.
Well, it's similar. I think you would agree. Running a low volume store isn't easier than running a
Yeah.
high volume store. It's just different. And
Yeah.
you're right. You're closer. You're doing everything instead of delegating or, you're right, not being as close to it. And I think in this situation, it's the same.
Agree.
So I want to jump in just around your leadership. So there was a philosophy that you shared with me that your leadership is rooted in respect, caring, fairness, and dignity. And those are 4 very powerful words.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to expand on that and why that's been the foundation of your very successful career.
You know, those are just pillars that I came up with and that are really important to me. And I think it's the old adage, like, I want to treat people like I would want to be treated. And, I think so many times in business, you lose sight of like the care and like just generally how to treat people just from a human
Yeah.
context standpoint. I know years ago, I think it was American Eagle, I took, it was like a little course, Arbinger, like, and like the whole theory of it was like treating people like people and not as objects. And I think caring, fairness, respect, and dignity, it kind of cuts through the business people and the business portion, and it takes you through like how to innately connect with people and treat people the right way. And those would be the pillars or the filters that I would want somebody to approach me or have a conversation or give me guidance with. So it's just kind of followed me, to your point, through my career.
To your point, like it doesn't always show up. Like, how do you shift the conversation to be more respectful or to show up differently?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's a stopping's okay. And like to pause a conversation. Let's say you're in a heated argument and, you're both super passionate. I mean, this just happened to me the other day. And, I think it's okay to say, you know what? Like this is going in a place we probably don't want it to go. And we can stop and we can agree to disagree. And I think that's okay too. So I think stopping and pausing and reflecting and then circling back is always okay. Think about even your personal relationships. Sometimes it's good to do that. Take a deep breath and revisit it.
Maybe even more importantly, sometimes.
Agree.
Don't say something you regret.
Right.
I want to also mention this framework that you told me about that I wasn't familiar, called From Lou Holtz. And to those very simple questions around, do you care about me? Are you committed? And can I trust you? And when I thought more about it, those are, again, really powerful tenets of leadership. You could write an entire book on those 3, as I'm sure that person did. But tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I've been very athletic my whole life. I grew up playing sports. And I remember as I just got into leadership, we took it was a development course, and somebody quoted that Lou Holtz like saying, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And the way Lou Holtz says it is like those 3 questions, like, do you care about me? Can I trust you? And are you committed? Like you can use those with your neighbor, with your husband, with your wife, with your boyfriend, like, or with somebody that works with you, a colleague, direct report, whoever. And those are the filters for like a really productive conversation and getting to the root of things. And if you answer no to any one of those questions, it doesn't mean the relationship or the connection is irreparably broken, but what it means is there's a problem and you need to go in deep on one of those. If all three you say no, then I think it's a bigger issue, but it's usually like one or two that are an issue. And I think that's where you can go deep and ask questions and really seek to understand.
Because you're right. If someone's honest and you said, do you trust me to help you to coach or to manage your career, or you use those questions and someone's honest and they said no, then there's other work to do.
Yeah. And like trust is different to everybody, right? Like, I can trust somebody until I mistrust somebody, but that's the way I'm wired. But someone else might take a long time to have somebody. So maybe I can answer yes to trust, but they can't answer yes to trust. And that's good to understand that and know where you're at in the relationship, right?
And have you used those to teach leaders throughout your career? You think about how do you scale these very emotional pillars or filters?
Yeah, I have. And I actually recently used it. We had an offsite meeting at Marine Layer with my current team, and we used it and they really liked it. I think it helps people diagnose and again, know where to zoom in and understand where there's a problem. And like, maybe it's on them, maybe it's on the other person, but to have a really good, productive adult conversation. Just recently we used it.
It's so funny when you say adult conversation, because so often in retail, when you think about it often being accidental and having in kind of often not minimum requirements of certain levels of education, thankfully, because I don't have one.
Right.
And like this ability to kind of just get in and learn. We're not teaching retail, we're teaching life skills.
Totally.
And that is like, that always kept me going. I knew that they were going home and saying something to their parents about a skill that they learned.
Yeah.
And that this is about life. Yes, I'm teaching you how to coach or run a business, but I'm also teaching you life skills.
Oh, 100%. And I think any of these things, whether it's like my 4 pillars of like the filters I use for basic humanity or the Lou Holtz questions, like it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You could be in oil and gas. You could be, in computers or tech, like all those, you have to interface with people. And it's like this really cool guideline that cuts through on how to do that.
So I want to explore more on like scaling leadership, because you have led these massive organizations at Old Navy and American Eagle and these big brands. How do you take what you do so magically well and teach that to thousands of people?
I think when you're scaling a big brand, it's a different set of muscles, right? Like we all have we're all fit in retail and we all have the same, really good muscles and skills and leadership abilities. But I think when you think about scale and you think about size and like the way Old Navy was or American Eagle, how many stores was under my umbrella or my peers, right? It was big volume. It's about really setting up systems, making them repeatable. And it's the ability to have this team move in a massive direction, right? And you've got to be able to create that or be part of that, right? Because like at Old Navy, there were 3 of us in the US and we all had huge territories, but we had to work singularly, but we also had to work together on certain initiatives. So it's really having that discipline, I think, to get those, those qualities and traits.
Yeah.
And then you also have to think of the end user. Like it might be a lot of stores and a big fleet, but like the end user is one store. And so how does that one store digest your message or the initiative or the strategy? That's what's always important. Like if you think about 500 or 600 stores, like I might have had under my umbrella, that becomes a bit overwhelming. But if you think of that end user, then just multiply it by 600. It's a bit easier, I think.
That makes sense. We actually had Deetria Cortalis, who runs Pandora, on the show this season. And similarly, she said all the messages, or when I'm visiting stores, have to be so simple because they need to be heard and understood by hundreds of locations.
I think conversely, though, like if you look at Marine Layer, it's a bit of the opposite. You need to scale, you need repeatability, you need discipline, but the fleet is a little bit smaller. We're a little bit under 60 stores. So it's like you can be more intimate. it's a little bit more human. There's a little bit more high touch. And so that to me is like the sexiness of retail, right? Like you can have this big scale and a massive movement, or you can have it a bit smaller and more intimate, and you'll know if things land right or not a little bit more with a smaller brand like Marine Layer. So it's been a lot of fun transitioning to that.
It's similar. And I think just because the store count is smaller, the skill set is that much higher. Myself, when I went to Intermix, same 40 stores, but running 40 highly complex stores, or brand like Marine Layer that's early in their growth cycle, requires a high skill set. Low store count doesn't mean low skill set.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite. And that's exactly what you're experiencing.
Right. And almost like you said earlier, like a store manager, GM at Marine Layer, they have to do a lot. And they have to do a lot with, I always tell people, like when we're in the interview process and bringing somebody on, you have to do a lot with a little. And you have to be scrappy, but not crappy. Like we're not a crappy brand. We're a beautiful brand. Like a store manager at Marine Layer is going to have to do the schedule. They're going to have to bus shipment. Like they're going to have to do things that nobody would do probably at Gap or American Eagle at this point if they were a store manager. So you're just closer to it, right? It's a different way of work, but I think the end result is still beautiful retail environments and the customer leaving happier than when they walked in.
Yeah, and such pride in that.
Yes.
And how you've created that. Really
journey. Yeah, for sure.
I want to jump into just the future of this business, because you've been doing this for these incredible brands. And you had said to me that the future of retail depends on how people, technology, and physical environments work together. And certainly that's true. And I think we're learning a lot right now on the technology side. We know people and we know great real estate, and of course you need great product, but tech is changing retail on the front line every day.
Yeah.
Crazy. So like, what's on your mind about the future of retail and tech?
Yeah, it's funny. I just had a friend send me an article about AI and how AI is potentially going to change. Like everybody knows AI, like it's the big buzz this year, right? But how it's potentially going to change or could change retail shopping for this holiday season. So it's on everyone's mind, right? If you think about technology and how it's going to integrate, like currently, it's about like you have to take your people, you have to take the technology, and then the physical space, right? And then you've got to put it all together in a way that ultimately feels good for the customer. So what might happen in one retail box might not be a fit for, let's say, Marine Layer that I'm running now. Like it all has to work together. I think the bottom line, think about it, like you're giving your team tools to make their job easier, not harder. And by using technology, like to me, it should eliminate friction. Like that should be the number one thing. Like you should think about it, like, does it make it seamless? It's a big word we hear. Is it faster checkouts? Like, is that happening? Is it helping your inventory? Like we have RFID at Marine Layer. It's like a game changer. It helps our inventory. It's fast. It's cost effective. And then I think personalized communication, like really the whole era of concierge shopping and like how do we meet the consumer where they're at, connecting your brand through styling and storytelling, like that's all the way, like those are all the ways like I think you can use technology in the right way, but it's just finding that sweet spot that's going to work for your brand, I think is really important.
I would absolutely agree. And not doing it just for technology's sake,
right?
But doing it because you're solving a problem, or there's friction. You're right, seamless. The customer is actually setting the standard of this is what I expect you to do, and then it's brands going and finding those solutions.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there are things that like we just talked, I mentioned AI earlier. I agree. Like AI, they can tell me what looks good on me, and it could tell me my color story maybe and like what season color I should be in. But like, I'm not going to be able to feel the garment. I'm not going to be able to know how good I look in it or how good I feel in it, right? Like those are the things where I know you and I have had conversations about, retail, brick and mortar, like everybody's ordering online. No, there's something about this business that technology, it can help and it can facilitate and maybe can get you to a store, but it can't give you that emotional feel, that tactile feel, that, how good you feel when you walk out with it. Like, you're not going to get that but buy online. It's just not going to.
Well, and think about Marine Layer, and I want to ask you about your franchise and Drybar experience, because similar, that's a human experience.
Totally.
And Marine Layer, my first experiences with the brand is you have to come and touch this product.
Yeah.
It was always about how soft it is and how comforting it is.
It's founded on, right?
I'm from Northern California, so I immediately understood what they were trying to do. That experience, no matter how good your website is, doesn't replace you touching the fabric of beautiful Marine Layer product.
Yeah, having it, what that feels like now, it would never do it.
Yeah. And in between all of this incredible career you've had, you owned a few Drybars.
And a crazy story. I was in between thinking about what I wanted to do, and I had lived in Denver at one point in my career for American Eagle, and was in a bicycle accident, broke both my wrists, and could not do my hair. So I found Drybar, and I was like obsessed with the model. And at that point, Allie Webb was in charge of it, and there were maybe 50, 60 stores. But it was amazing for women like me, executives. Like, I would go there first thing in the morning, have a 7 a.m. standing every Monday. I'd be on my laptop getting my hair done. And then, I'm blessed that I don't have oily hair. And, that would be a week. I didn't have to travel with the product. I didn't have to do any of that, And so after I left Old Navy, I was at this like, wow, this is pretty cool. It turns out that Allie sold the franchise business. She sold the business actually to a franchise holder, WellBiz. And so there was an opportunity to buy into it. And so I bought into 3 markets, 2 in the Texas area, 1 here in Naperville in Illinois. And so I've opened the first one. I've yet to open the second 2, but it's been amazing. And I'll tell you, it was a very dicey time to do something so high touch, right? Because we were just coming out of COVID, coming out of lockdown, opened up the first store, my first shop, I should say, December 2023. So it's going on, it'll be 2 years this December. And people were canceling, massages and like all that stuff. People were like, no, I can't, it's high touch. You go to a shop. So it's been great. It's definitely, basically a women's business, right? And so you're catering, there's a halo up and a halo below. And we cater to younger kids, executive women, older women, it doesn't matter. But it's been a really fun brand. I think their marketing is on point. And it's been fun. I can't wait to scale it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's same. There are those experiences that are so human and can't be replaced. And I think all of the conversation around, I'm sure technology supports things like scheduling tools and CRM data and follow-up. There's a great technology for that. But coming in with your hair maybe a mess and leaving feeling beautiful, not that I would care because I have a shaved head, but like this idea of how do you create magic in less than an hour, human to human? An example is Drybar.
The tagline is no cuts, no color, just blowouts. Like, they know what they're good at. They go narrow and deep, right? As we know from certain categories and, working in retail and apparel, like, and that's where it's at. And just really understanding it's membership based as well. So there's this, great benefits if you're a membership, you have a membership, that kind of thing. But it's been really fun. And to your point, there's an amazing app. You can request your stylist. You can put any notes. You have a birthday, like whatever's going on, like you could put it in there and we try to accommodate it. So it's been a super fun brand and a piece of the business. Like, I love the beauty. I love makeup and hair and all that. And it's a piece of the business that I'd never been part of, like running. And what's been interesting is you can, it's moving people, moving a product, right? And you can do that anywhere. And I think no matter, like, that's what I'm doing. I'm moving people, moving a product. And I think if you think of it that way, it doesn't matter if it's widgets or cars or, retail. That's what you're doing. Yeah. So it's fun.
It's really fun. And maybe most importantly to that are these people who work in either Drybar, Marine Layer, all the brands you've led. It's really about the front line.
Oh, yeah.
The whole point of this show is to celebrate the front line, but that can show up in many different ways.
100%.
And I'd love your thoughts on the current state and the future state of the front line. The commitment to this as a career, like their growth challenges, the training and development, the pride in their
Yeah.
work. To be honest, we have some work to do as a retail industry
Yeah.
to make this sexy and appealing.
Yes.
And some of that is around career growth
Yeah.
and development. When
I
you and I
yeah.
started at Gap Inc., they were very committed to our growth. We need more of that in our
Yeah.
industry.
I agree. I think what excites me and what I'm so optimistic about with these generations, and I'm not going to label like Gen Z or millennials or anything, but the generations I'll say beneath me, which are a lot at this point, but they seem to care, right? They care a lot and they care deeply. So they care about people. Like, I feel like they're very purpose-driven leaders. I feel like there's this whole piece about impact. Like, I work for Marine Layer, it's a B Corp. Like, we're very conscious of the environment. Like, that falls through like deeply. And people want to be part of a brand that's committed to the world, right? And to the earth and like doing things right. We have a really cool respun program at Marine Layer where you can turn in, worn garments and get new stuff. Like, that's, people love that. And they love that because it's a value driven brand. And I think this generation, that the teams I work with, both at, personally at my personal business and at my business, like, they care deeply. And not that my generation didn't, it just feels like it's much more prevalent and they have a voice. I think they're not afraid to speak their mind in a really good way, where I think, my generation kind of sometimes just did what you were told. So it's, it gives me a lot of hope about retail. I think retail's super exciting and it's on this tipping point of like doing amazing things that, who knows what will be like.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think to your point, like the confidence to call out a brand not doing the right thing is very much alive and well, which can show up overnight in a very viral way on social media.
100%.
So we all have to pay attention to what we're doing, how you're doing it, how you show up, what you say. Do you achieve the goals you said you're going to achieve, which is why you joined the company, all of that. And I admire how people can call you out on that.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can remember, I won't name the retailer, but that got in a lot of trouble for like disposing of hangers the way they did. Like, all that stuff's really important, right? It's going to impact, the way my kids live.
And when you think about that future development, as we've kind of started this with, like, people, you investing in others, how do you train that in that next level of leadership, people joining retail? What's your advice on committing to a career in retail?
I think it's lead people, not things, not tasks. I think people are going to move the business. So, there's a lot of business that are going automated and whatever. I think we have to be careful with that, because people are our most valuable asset. They always will be. And I think if you invest in people, like, they'll invest back. Like, it's proven and tested, right? If you invest in teams and stores will do better. Like, your people will, it's this whole virtuous cycle, right? If you invest in the teams will invest back in the business, and the business will invest in the customer, and like, it's a whole great virtuous cycle. So to me, it's like a win-win investing in your people.
And really, kind of last question, is there a leadership advice that you would give to young managers coming into the business today? I know we have your pillars of success and the questions, but what advice do you give to young managers coming into this industry today?
Being super open, and openness comes with like listening to divergent points of view, like not being closed off, having an open mindset, not a fixed mindset. I think that's really big. I also think relocatability is really critical, like, especially when you're young and maybe you don't have, or your family is very young, having this mobility and agility. I mean, you and I talked about it. Yeah. I've owned, over many, many homes. Like, I've moved many times. I've lived in different countries. I think it widens your aperture and it will widen your whole view on life. And like, you can really take advantage of that in a great way. And I think sometimes people have a very limited scope of like where they'll go or what they'll do or how they're going to do something. And I just think being open to listen and open to new ideas is so important.
That relocation can change your life in
Yeah.
ways that you didn't even expect. It certainly has for me.
Look how many places
Yeah.
you've lived and what you've done and the risks you've taken.
So many.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change my mind on any of that.
No.
Today. I don't regret any of it because every decision was the opening the next chapter of the book.
Yeah.
And continuing to grow. And the more things you say no to, the less likely you are to build that book.
I remember the first year I was in Canada. I was in a really cool place in Toronto, and it was awesome. What I didn't realize is that all of their holidays, I mean, you kind of know, but you don't know because you don't celebrate them. But like Thanksgiving was different. So Thanksgiving was like in October. And so I spent Thanksgiving alone there. And like Christmas, like Boxing Day is the day. And so it's just, but like I learned a lot from it, right? I learned about resilience and like how much my family really did mean to me. And there's things, I mean, that's okay. But like learning different cultures, I think is really cool. And what you glean from it, makes you bigger, better, faster, stronger, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, Corinne, this has been so much fun to not only personally reconnect with you, but to know that there are leaders in the industry like you that continue to shine the way for the future, and using all of your expertise for good is such a joy to watch. So I'm really, it's an honor to speak to you and to give this platform to you today. So thank you.
Same here. And we're definitely going to have to grab dinner soon.
Oh, we will. No, when you're in Florida, it's happening. We're going to make sure that it happens.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thanks, right. Corinne. Take care.
Corinne's career is proof that strong results don't come from command and control leadership. They come from respect, care, fairness, and dignity practiced consistently over time. So for everyone listening, here's your challenge for the week. Take a moment to reflect on the 3 questions she shared, the ones your team is quietly pondering. Do you care about me? Are you committed? And can I trust you? Ask yourself, how would my team answer these today? And what's one small action I could take to strengthen one of them? Because your leadership is shaped less by what you intend and more about what your team experiences consistently, especially when things are hard. Thanks for tuning in, and a special thanks to Ubik, the presenter of Frontline Fridays. Ubik is the AI-powered platform that helps retail and hospitality leaders connect, train, and empower their teams. Ready to make your frontline your competitive advantage? Visit ubik.com. That's YOOBIC.com to learn more. Until next time, keep leading boldly and keep checking in with yourself and your team.